And then they all moved back to Itasca. But Bob took us on the other side, and don't ask me what it was, because I think at one time there was like an airport or something over there, but it's someplace with water. And you dig down and you'd get these big conchs, great big shells, just round, not them. Mary would know the name of them.
Yeah, we still got them. They're conchs.
Yeah, but
It would have been the old airport.
it wasn't round, it was a smooth thing. And they were buried, you'd have to dig them out. And Bob would take us over there, and I still have some of those. But
Okay, well now let's take a break and relax for a minute.
I didn't know, we had a 2-room tent, and we camped down there. That was when we had all these fish, caught all these fish. And we'd be there all day, and maybe 3 cars would come out, and that's all.
And that's after you were married, but before you lived at the Buckhorn?
Yeah. Well, I'd have to look all that up. My mind is so with dates.
Your mind is great.
But you know what, if that book that I brought, if I read it through with you, I might have to come down with Brenda and spend some time and bring those extra. I don't know if y'all would want those pictures.
Sure.
And then Ralph, I didn't get one of the aerial pictures where we could recognize the cars. Now, I would like to have that. I don't know where it is, he has it. And he said he would donate that.
It's one of the Hunt aerials.
Yeah.
Mr. Hunt took the
Yeah, but
picture.
the typewriter, that's Dick Gaulding's, and it still would work if it was greased up, but, you know, like you say, it's supposed to be worth thousands of dollars because of the age of it.
Well, it's, to us, the value is that it was in the Gaulding store.
All the time, it's Bob Gaulding was in the time he came, that's how old it is, that's the only typewriter he ever had. But then, like I say, they have one like it at the university in Kingsville, but they keep it under lock and key, under a dome. They won't let anybody touch it.
Well, we can easily put it inside a case.
Yeah, I mean, just something where nobody could fool us.
We can do that. I'd like to talk to your daughter for a minute, that's all right?
Okay.
Let me just swap out, and we'll roll you here. Y'all quit making fun of her. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm rolling.
Okay. Tell me your full name.
I am Mary Lou Gaulding Stein, S-T-E-I-N.
And you are Miss Gaulding's daughter?
I'm the oldest daughter.
Do you remember the first time you saw this house?
I want to say I was maybe 3 when I start remembering things.
When were you born?
January of 47.
47. So about 1950, 51, somewhere in the early 50s. Tell me about the house, everything you remember about it.
I remember it being twice as big and twice as high. I can remember, I think it was white, and she had a white picket fence. They had a lot next to them. I remember the white picket fence. I remember the garage that you drove up into because we played in it. And it had tumbleweed in it. So we played lots of games with the tumbleweed. I remember one time, my sister was little bitty at the time, but we came to visit. And she wanted to visit with Mama, so she gave us each a big old tablespoon and told us to go out in the front yard and take care of that pesky gopher. Her front yard was sand, but it was full of gopher holes. Well, we went out there and we were going to help Aunt Mary get rid of that gopher. We got into bull nettle, and we came back in. I remember she took this pretty little bowl, took baking soda and vinegar and made this paste, and put it on us, and it felt so good. That's one memory I've always had of Aunt Mary. And then I remember her dog Cutie, which was a Boston Terrier. And if you sat down and crossed your legs, the dog would back up to you so you would scratch her. If Aunt Mary got tired, she would go like this, not say a word. The dog would go about its business. And then it had a hard rubber ball with a jingle bell. And she would play fetch till you just had enough. Aunt Mary would go. The dog would go about her business. And then under the stairway in the kitchen was this little door. And every night Aunt Mary opened that door up and Cutie went in and got in her bed and stayed there till the next morning, and then Aunt Mary would close the door. And then when I was in probably 64 and 65, my best friend and I came over during the summer and would spend a week with Aunt Mary. We stayed in the small bedroom, and she would let us go do our thing. I had a car, but she was strict. We had curfew. We sat down at the kitchen table every night and ate supper together. Oh, and I can remember as a child when we stayed here, we went to Sunday school at church with Aunt Mary. And I went to Bible school here with a number of children. But the house, I don't remember it being quite this big, but I was little.
Which church was that?
That was the little Presbyterian church, and coming here today, I noticed the little Sunday school rooms are still back there.
The house obviously wasn't quite as big. This area where we're sitting was added. You don't think that Aunt Mary and Uncle Bob did that?
No, I just know that they, on the back of the kitchen, they had added a little room. She had a little small bathroom on one side, and she had a pantry on the other where she kept her dishes and stuff. But that was, by that time, she could not go upstairs. Her bedroom was in the dining room. Her bed was across the front windows. I don't remember where the dresser, I think it was a dresser and like a chair in there. I don't remember that. And in the living room, the back wall had the couch. There was a desk on this, what would be this wall, because she had two pictures that somebody had done. I'm not sure what it's called, but they took the letters and made a man and a woman with the letters Bob Gaulding and Mary Gaulding. I will always remember, and they were black and white. I will always remember those pictures because it said Mary Gaulding.
And by this point, she could no longer climb the stairs.
No,
What had happened?
I'm not sure. It was just so normal that we just never, and see, she had one eye that remained closed, and she had a dark glass in that. But I never, it was just Aunt Mary. I never questioned.
Was Uncle Bob still here at that time?
I have memories of coming in the house, and Uncle Bob was in a hospital bed right on the wall, right inside the door. And I remember looking up, and it looked like he was laying there asleep. And that's the only, and I seem to have memories of being at the church. Because I was little bitty, I had on a little white dress, and I went and tugged on Mom, and she was talking to somebody, and she said, "Shh, go sit down." That's all I remember of Uncle Bob.
Okay.
But I feel like I was like maybe 3 years old.
How often did you come to visit?
Well, we came here during the summer from the time I can remember till I was 7. And Alfred Hunt, his daughter Wanda, was about my age, and we went everywhere together. And I can remember going, and you could walk anywhere in town. I mean, here we were little, probably 5 or 6 years old at the time. We would go from the Buckhorn and come to Uncle Bob's store. We would get a popsicle. And they always told us we were the sweetest little girls because we'd go out on the porch and dangle our feet and eat our popsicle, but we leaned forward and dripped down. We never dripped on their floor or on their porch. We finished our popsicle, and then we would walk over to Aunt Mary and visit a few minutes, and then we would walk back home. Maybe once a week or twice, you know, but I can remember doing that.
Did you spend any time on the beach?
Lots of time. Oh, I've got lots of memories of, I mean, it wouldn't have to do with them, but of things we did. And Eddie Martin was our babysitter when they went fishing, and we called him Eddie Spaghetti. I don't know why. But I can remember several little things with him that were really funny. And yes, we beached home with Mom and Daddy. Our job was to, if we didn't keep the crabs, we would throw sand in their face so we could pick them up, because we were little and we had to throw them back in, and Daddy never left the beach messy. All the little fish, we had to gather them up and put them back in the water right quick while they gathered the big fish and pull the net back in. That was our job. I can remember gathering coquinas in number 3 wash tubs for Aggie South.
What did she do with them?
She made coquina soup.
Was it good?
I never ate it.
Did she serve it at her restaurant?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is, Mama has told you, we would take this extra fish. We took coquinas. It was a specialty. We didn't do it often, but if they were running, it was a specialty of the whatever. And I can remember when I was little, I don't know where it's at, but it's the thing that goes out on the water alongside the Coast Guard. There was a fish house. And I can remember I loved going in there because the floors were 2x12s. They had cracks in them, and I could go stand and watch the water underneath them. I can remember doing that a lot. And Wanda and I would walk from the house in front of the Tarpon Inn and go to the little theater, the little indoor-outdoor theater. I can remember doing that quite often. And one summer, the Tarpon Inn, they had one daughter. And she went to boarding school. Well, she came home, and Wanda and I were the only 2 kids on the island that were allowed to go play with her. But see, Alfred Hunt was very well known, like Uncle Bob and that, but he was in the Coast Guard.
They wouldn't let her play with any of the other local kids?
Well, I don't know if he knew Alfred or what, but we were the 2 that he let come and play with her while she was home that summer.
So let's see, I guess your aunt and uncle were pretty important people too.
Yes,
And Mr. Hunt was an important person.
yes.
Okay. And the Ellises obviously own the Tarpon Inn.
I don't remember them.
But you remember the daughter?
I just remember getting to go play with her one time.
Okay. Her name was Kathy.
See, I don't remember. Like I said, I was probably 6, maybe. I don't know if we were even in school yet.
Was that theater fun?
Yes. I can still picture it. I could probably take a paper and halfway draw what it looked like inside. Oh, and one time Wanda got a pretty little purse and I was jealous, so I went and got me a raisin box and taped it up and put my money in. I had me a little purse. And we walked down in front of the Tarpon Inn and went to the theater.
What did you see?
That I don't remember.
What did you walked in the theater?
Yes, the back part was like enclosed. It had a roof over it or whatever. Then all your other seats were out in the open. And down the side, the women's was on one side and the men's was on the other, up at the far end by the screen.
So it's sort of an outdoor theater?
It was an indoor-outdoor type theater. That's what they called it. They called it an indoor-outdoor. I don't know. Because you had covered area and then you had your open.
Have you seen it lately?
I think it's thrift store now.
Mm-hmm. Still there.
Oh, I haven't been to Port Aransas in 10, 12 years.